Good morning. We are back on the Blue Jackets season reviews, and today we are going to be talking all about Carson Meyer, how his season was, what his future with the Blue Jackets could be, and how we think the Monsters are going to do this season. That's all coming up today on Locked on Blue Jackets.
Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets. We are part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to bring you all of the news, the stories, the trials, the tribulations of your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and also over on YouTube. So if you haven't joined the YouTube yet, then you should probably get on that. Today, like I said at the top of the show, we're going to be continuing our season reviews, and we're kind of getting close to the end of the forwards. I think we've only got about 4 to go. So today, we are going to be talking about Carson Meyer, who kind of a surprise addition to the team, I think. Played very well in Cleveland. But let's talk a little bit about Carson Meyer because I think his story is really fun and really cool. So Carson Meyer, born in Powell, Ohio, played 2 years at the University of Miami, 2 years at Ohio State University, was a 6th round pick in 2017 by the Columbus Blue Jackets, which, again, I love when late draft picks make it to the NHL. And just looking, I think he's one of 1, 2, 3, 4. He's one of 5 guys to make it to the NHL at this point, which is genuinely really, really impressive. Handful of guys made it in the 7th round, but yeah, like I said, I love when late round guys make it to the NHL. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. I don't know that Carson Meyer is ever going to be an NHL regular, but he did well enough to finish the season with the Blue Jackets. This is only his 2nd year pro. Last year, he had a really, really strong rookie season with the Cleveland Monsters. He had 20 points in 26 games, 9 goals, 11 assists. And this year, he was one of the Monsters' best players, despite not playing all of the games. He only played 57 games for them, but he had 27 points in those 15 games. He had 16 goals, which I believe led the team. Yep, tied for the team lead with Brendan Gaunce and Justin Scott. Which is, again, for someone who missed like 20 of the games, is really, really impressive. 7th on the team in scoring as well. I mean, we've talked about it. The Monsters really, really struggled last season. Their leading scorer had 45 points in 62 games, so not super offensively gifted last season, the Monsters. They really struggled. So yeah, that's why Carson Meyer, despite being missing for 20 games, was 7th on the team in scoring. So it's congratulations to him, and I think that's why he earned the call up to the Blue Jackets. Played 13 games for Blue Jackets this season, scored his first NHL goal, had 2 assists on top of that, so 3 points in 13 games, which on the surface I think probably is not super impressive. But for a 6th round pick who was playing very few minutes, I think it's pretty impressive, honestly. Like I said, how rare is it that you get to score your first NHL goal on the team that you grew, like your hometown team, after being, like, I think it was 179th overall. It's a pretty cool story. And so, that reason alone, I was rooting for Carson Meyer before any of this, especially off the back of the rookie season he had with the Monsters. It's it's a cool story. Hudson Maya is currently has a new contract. He is going to be making 7.5 point. He's been making $750,000, 750K. This season, I believe it's a two-way deal, so he'll be making yeah. So he'll be making about $600,000 less if he's in the minors, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit more about his work this season with Cleveland, and we'll also talk a little bit about whether he could be a Blue Jacket next season or whether he needs a little bit more time in the minors. That's all coming up next on Locked On Blue Jacket. But first, I've got to tell you all about Built Bar because we love Built Bar here, and they've got a new bar that I am super, super excited about. The coconut brownie chunk Built Bar is top tier, one of the best. But guess what? They have given it the puffs treatment, and now it's that coconut brownie chunk flavor that you love in a delicious, chewy, soft marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Still has those chunks of brownie. It's incredible, honestly. And it's both healthy and delicious. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, high deliciousness. Only here for a limited time. So you got to go to built.com right now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste incredible. And you can enjoy them guilt-free. They are the perfect treat if you've got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, if you want a quick healthy snack. They're great after the gym. They're great if you are going to go hiking or if you're going to go for a run or if you just don't want to make breakfast but you have to eat something before you go to work. That's usually when I have my Built bars. So go to built.com right now. Get your coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs. And here's the best bit. If you use promo code LOCKED15, you can get 15% off your order. Once again, that is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. So, Carson Meyer, like I said, he played pretty limited minutes for the Blue Jackets. He, again, managed to score his first goal. 3 points in 13 games is, what's that, a point every 4 games, which, I mean, is not the worst. That's no, that sounds really harsh. It's actually, it's pretty good considering. He, like I said, he did not play a lot. His high was 11 minutes 35 seconds. His lowest was just over 3 minutes. He kind of averaged out at about 8 minutes a game. So yeah, a point every 4 games seems about right. Honestly, he had where is it? His first goal he scored in his second game. He had a point in that, an assist in that game as well. So 2 points, and then he didn't score again that season. He had an assist versus LA, and then finished. He went seven straight games without a point. But honestly, and like this is the thing, I'm not looking at guys like Carson Meyer to score. So if you I don't know, prorate that up to a full 82 game season, that's eight goals, maybe 7 or 8 goals in the season. For a fourth liner, I'm happy with that. I think a lot of people look at, oh, he only had 3 points in 30 games and are like, this is bad, this is terrible. What a bust. And, we've had this conversation before multiple times about the concept of being a bust and the concept of being a low draft pick, etc., etc. And it's all nonsense, quite frankly. But I want to talk a little bit about his future with the team, because the team is kind of at a logjam. Carson Meyer can play center, I believe, if needed. He's mostly spent his time on the wing, but they have talked a little bit about maybe playing him at center. I don't, it's fine. It is what it is. In terms of forwards, we have. Well, currently we've got 14 under contract, and that's without Emil Bemstrom and Patrick Laine being signed. That's also without Boone Jenner and Alexander Texier, who are both still on IR. So, assuming Brennan Gaunt doesn't start the season, I can't imagine Carson Meyer would either, is the thing. I think as much as it pains me to admit it, I think the right thing to do is send Carson Meyer down to the minors. Keep an eye on him. Keep him playing games. Like, that's the other thing as well, and I think we've talked about this before, is I would rather have the young guys playing meaningful top line minutes in Cleveland than playing 8 minutes a night in Columbus. And that's kind of directed at specifically guys like Kent Johnson, who I think really suffered at the end of the season because he was playing with fourth liners or third liners. He wasn't getting those chances. And as much as I would like to see him succeed in the NHL, if the choice is 20 minutes a night dominating on an AHL roster or playing 8 minutes a night and not really doing much on an NHL roster, like that feels like an easy choice to make. And I know that partially, that's down to Kent or Carson elevating their play and saying, "Hey, look, I can do this. Give me the ice time." And then proving it. But at the end of the day, there's too many. What's that? There's 17 forwards competing for a spot right now, and honestly, I think Carson Meyer might be the 17th, 16th, or 17th. Especially with Gaudreau coming in, with Texier presumably coming back for some godforsaken reason. They traded for Mathieu Olivier, who I can't imagine will be seeing much ice this season, or at least I hope not. But yeah, it's honestly, all things considered, I'm pretty happy with Meyer's season. I think it's a good start. I think it can only go up from here as well. Like, he's still pretty young. He's 24, I think. So it's not like, I don't think this is a Gavin Bayreuther situation where, he's 28, he's peaked, he's probably not going to do much more in terms of development. I think Carson Meyer is still developing. I think he still has a lot to do with his game, and I'm super excited to see that, whether it's in Cleveland or in Columbus. But I think it will probably be in Cleveland, which is what we're going to talk about next. In a minute, we are going to take a quick look at Cleveland, see how they're shaping up for the upcoming season, and maybe take a quick look at some potential forward combinations, because I think and that's what's coming up next. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Monsters, how their roster is shaping up for the upcoming season. That's coming up next on Locked On Blue Jackets. But first, I have got to tell you about the NFL Top 50. Which NFL stars move the betting line the most? Starting July 18th, Locked On is giving you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Once again, available from July 18th. So I believe that was Monday, on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts, and also over on YouTube, basically wherever you get Locked On Blue Jackets, you can find Locked On NFL. So go check that out. Let's talk Cleveland Monsters, because I was really looking forward to the Monsters this season, and they fell at the first hurdle and didn't really manage to pick themselves back up, which I think is a shame. But over the course of the kind of the last month or so of the season, they picked up some really intriguing guys, and I'm excited to see how the team shapes up, because I think they're going to get a lot of their better guys back from Columbus, basically. Brendan Gaunce was their best forward, I think, this season. They're going to get him back. They'll probably get Carson Meyer back. They might get Emil Bemstrom back, depending on how that goes. They could even get guys like Justin Danforth back, and I think that's only going to make the team better. Jake Christensen, I assume, will be on the Monsters as opposed to the Blue Jackets, who's their leading scorer. So, it's the Monsters, I think, really struggled because the Blue Jackets struggled. And so the Blue Jackets kept taking all of their players, and they were like, well, I guess we'll sign a bunch of college free agents or ECHL players and hope for the best. So, that being said, there are a handful of guys that finished the season, and we've talked about them before, either by myself or with Dina Weinheimer, formerly the Monsters reporter over at Field Pass Hockey. She's now moved on to a more of a overarching AHL-wide role, but we'll have her back on the show soon, I am sure. And a bunch of Owen Tillinger is kind of first up, older brother of Cole Sillinger, just played at Benjamin University, had a really strong dev camp, I thought, and a really strong finish to the season. You've got guys like Roman Ashan who turned up. Just a bunch of guys that I was really, really impressed with. Robbie Payne, probably the most impressive. I think he came from the ECHL and just immediately started tearing it up, earned a contract on the back of that. I think Trafix Wolanski is going to hit another level, try to find his way back to the NHL. I think the goaltending hopefully will be a little more stable. I'm really excited to see Jet Greaves get a full season. And then, whether it's him and Neil Tarasov, whether Tarasov stays in the NHL and Korpisalo goes, whichever happens, I'm hoping that the goalie situation is going to be a lot more stable for Cleveland this season. And there'll be a lot less, well, we need to borrow this goalie and then we'll break them. And then we need to borrow this goalie for like 3 weeks because Korpisalo needs surgery. So Tarasov or Greaves, I think both of them will do an admirable job in the AHL and hopefully stabilize that. But yeah, I have big plans. Well, big hopes, I think is probably the better word to say, for the Cleveland Monsters this season. And I think if Carson Meyer is a Blue Jacket, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. I didn't hate him on the fourth line. I think I'd rather have a guy like Carson Meyer who wants to improve, wants to play the game, than a guy like Olivier, who is just kind of there to fight and grind. People listening on the audio form will not get the air quotes there, but I dislike grinders as a concept. So we'll probably get into that at some point. That feels like a whole episode in the future. But if Carson Meyer is on the Monsters, I think he makes that team better immediately. And hopefully the Monsters can kind of not stumble out of the gate this season. And hopefully they'll be a little bit more like the team we expected last season. And I think Carson Meyer is going to be a big, big part of that. In terms of his season grade, I am going to give him a B minus, I think. I was debating B or C, but I think I'm going to give him a B just because he really impressed me at the NHL level. And I thought he was very strong with the Monsters, but coming up into the NHL and playing 13 games, okay, they were basically meaningless games, but he kind of, I think, put his name on Brad Larsen's radar as, hey, this is a potential option if we need to call someone up. And so I'm giving him a B for that and for being scoring his first NHL goal. I feel like that deserves credit. So congrats to Carson Meyer. Enjoy your B. Hopefully you can come back next season and I will be forced to reward you with a B plus or even an A next season. But that's kind of all I've got for you on Carson Meyer today. Tomorrow, we will be doing Yegor Chinakov's season review. Super excited to talk about this one. You all know I love Yegor Chinikov, so that's what's coming up tomorrow. We'll be talking about his season, what his future is with the Blue Jackets, and what I think he needs to do to take the next step in his development. So that is tomorrow's episode. I have been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find this podcast at LO_Blue Jackets. You can email me if you have comments, questions, criticisms, anything like that, over at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for making this your first listen of the day, every day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms, over on YouTube as well. The YouTube is really kind of gaining some traction, so I'm super excited about that. And it's going to be a fun season, so you might as well jump on now and join the Johnny Hockey. I'm going to leave that in. I don't care. The Johnny Hockey hype train to all the way to Playoffville is is what I'm going with. But until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.